Hi, I'm Ben, the first name bassist from Pigeons Playing Ping Pong, and I'm here to tell you about my stuff. Here we have my Ibanez sound gear, 5-string. It was the first 5-string I bought. I knew I'd wanted to upgrade to that eventually, playing bigger venues with pigeons. Getting that low B is helpful for some of that, especially if you play up higher on the neck, you can really dig in and get a better tone on that string, but it's nice to have that low B too. I actually recently did something interesting here, added a hip shot, which normally for a 4-string, you take your E and drop it to a D, drop D. I have it in its up in position in a low C, and that's its standard B, and it allows me, I'll show you when we start playing it, a little more harmonic stuff, open strings. There's one new song we have, My Own Way. The intro needs that in order to be able to play it, so it's kind of sometimes been more annoying than good, because on this stand I always have to flip it into C and I'm more used to it in B, so be cautious when you're experimenting with new things. You never know the unintended consequences, but I've gotten around it. So it is one of the slightly newer sound gears from Ibanez with Nordstrand pickups, but it came with a stock preamp, which I swapped out for a Nordstrand eventually, and it sounds really good. It has passive, active, volume, tone control, pickup switching. This is tone control here. Low, high, stacked EQ, I like that, and then this is the low, the mid boost, and you have two different mid settings. I believe it's 400 and 1000 is where it does it. I use standard tuning, low B, unless I'm in the engaged or high C position, low C position rather. I use D'Addario NYXL strings, phenomenal, work great for me. More recently I have been dialing it in more. I've been really honing in on getting my sound ideal. Actually, one positive side, the lemonade out of this lemon that we've been experiencing the past couple of years is the first few shows were drive-in, where it was actually, our sound was played through people's car radios, and I knew in order to be heard best, I needed to change and not rely on the subs at a venue, a big nice sound system. So I moved onto a farm as well during the pandemic and set up an upstairs studio space with a nice sub, KRK monitors and sub, and just sit there and play in front of it, figure out where my fingers go on the string, and really hone in a nice full sound that I can bring down instead of having to add to it too much, and figure out where to dig in. But within that I have a tone control here. So if it's rolled all the way this way for a reggae song like Walking on the Moon we played last night, nice and full, that's that low. And then if I want to get it cutting more, versus, so for slap tone it's better for that. So that I'll play with a little bit, usually not as much during the song, maybe small adjustments, but I'll set it overall. I used to have my low boosted a little bit, especially with my octave pedal that we'll get to, but I found that it's best to have it sitting where it is and having my sound bigger overall, and having my low and more controlled through that, and then high end here. And then I do mess with the mid switch for certain songs as well. So this is more standard most of the time, and then if I want a little bit more of a thick lower, I'll do that. And then for certain more islandy songs or fun songs like Fortress, for example, or Fox and Toad, I think it's called, I'll switch to passive for that. So that, what I was just doing, was in passive. The tone knob works for that, but the EQ controls only work in active here. So nothing's gonna happen there, but if I'm in active, huge range of control. So it depends on how, what I'm trying to do. Also, if I'm like sitting in with another band or, playing with just this bass, it has a lot of room to tweak things if I don't have my normal stage setup. All right, so I have an Aguilar DB751 head here. It is has a tube preamp in it. Pretty standard settings. I keep my low end rolled down so I can have my overall signal higher, and Eric takes care of sending it to the subs. Again, another thing I learned in the pandemic, playing on car stereo speakers. It's my main input here, and then I have my brand new addition to the team, the Moog Siren, which I've had for, also bought at the beginning of the pandemic. That links in with this guy here as a basically a MIDI keyboard. It's a 1-octave C to C, low C, high C, chromatic. There's a lot more you can do with it that we can get into. For cab, I have a Hurt Key high drive, 8x10. Does the job. It's played through it. My friend Anthony Leo from a band called Capital Zen had one. We played with them at Saratoga Springs, Putnam Den, and played through it. And I was like, this is fucking awesome. And I had a penchant for pushing cabs too hard sometimes and blowing speakers, which I have done with this, using my octave pedal. A lot of that synth stuff, but happily I've grown out of that phase, and but this is more sturdy for those types of situations anyway. So here we have the input of my bass, which runs through a 1/4-inch extension bought from Nutric that runs into my looper here, or a bypass, not a looper. This is a looper. This bypasses each pedal individually, so instead of having to turn on octave pedal and the EQ, which stay on a chain together, I just do this, and both of these are on, and this shapes my octave pedal. So that'll bring us to the first thing in the chain, my OC2, which I was actually talking to Charlie from Talk. He has a cloverleaf that I think I might upgrade to sooner than later, because it's a clone of the OC2, but it has other options in there as well. And I've been an OC2 guy for many years. Jeremy turned me onto it, thanks to Garrett Sayers, who plays with the Motet. Awesome tone. Showed us, where to dig in and how to use it, but it's been an integral part of my rig for some time as I try to engage what I call PDM, Pigeons Dance Music. It's that low-end manipulation type stuff. So that's been the mainstay of that for some time now. And now we have this to augment as well. But that'll take us to the octabass. This is also an octave pedal. It gives me a lower octave sound, but I use more dry signal with this. And then we have my EQ. This is Source Audio. It's EQ1, I just found out. They have a second one that they're out of stock right now, but they're going to be so kind as to send me that to try out. Source Audio is an amazing company. Have some really cool stuff coming out. Definitely check out their gear. Awesome guys. Hustlers, and just work hard and really innovate in the world of music in our scene. So this has 4 different EQ settings I can cycle through. This is my tone for kind of like more Afrobeat style things where I want to dig in and have like a brightness and a fullness underneath. Sometimes slap tones depending on what tone it is and what I'm doing elsewise. This is a low end boost slightly that I can pair with this, the octave pedal. This is my slap tone currently, but when I get the EQ2, instead of having fixed points where it boosts or lowers the frequency, I can change that. So that'll allow me to dial it a lot more at home and then bring it in and have a lot more going on. After my EQ, we have my Moog, which was also an integral part of my PDM style rig. This controls the cutoff filter here. And then I also just recently moved my harmonious pedal from my OC2 chain, just because where it was easiest to access when I was trying it out. Turns out it sucks tone, which is what this is all about, is allowing a clean, true bypass tone to come through. Especially because it sucked tone going into the octave pedal, I'd get some tracking issues, which was not fun. So I've now put this on with the Moog. This is another Source Audio wonderful gift from the gentleman, fine gentleman there, and ladies. It has another EQ that I use sometimes for slapping. Again, more of the, I consider like a vintage slap tone versus this is more of a bright cut through, more my modern day version of it, I guess. Have a standard envelope filter sound, which I can also use this for envelope filter, but this one has a pedal attached to it, expression pedal that can change. I can dial it in. I used to have an expression pedal dialed into this, but I needed one for this now. But this is nice because now I have a static. It's always set to what I want for envelope filter. So that one sounded more normal. This is starting to get in the crazy territory, and this one's real fun with the sounds like smacking a metal sheet with a mallet, soft rubber mallet. We come to my Weeping Demon, which is another early pedal acquisition. It is a synthy sounding, distorted sounding sweep pedal, which again adds to that PDM style. This is a more smooth, low end, filter type, and this is a more harsh one, depending on what I'm in the mood for, what the crowd needs, what the music is asking at the time. That's what I'll do. Flanger loop always stays on. I use this as well as a standard PDM sound. This, my octave pedal, and I think the Weeping Demon was soon after that. I think I also got the EQ from the same guy. He just happened to have one. I was like, yeah, I'll try that out too. We were coming back from some show, and Jeremy found this guy on Craigslist for a pedal he wanted, and he's like, oh, you should check out the OC2. So we stopped in the van and changed my rig forever. The rest is history. And this sounds, brings in that warbly tone. I use it on a hold setting generally, so I can keep hitting it. But then I can also, for songs like Pop Off, I do standard, and then songs like Up Funk, I do Ultra. And I say songs like, but really those are the only 2 songs that I do something different, because we wrote those songs when I first got the pedal, so I was trying different things out with it. Since then I've used it only for this. And I can change the settings if I need to with my toe. With this, I can also change that with my toe as well, which is another benefit of playing barefoot sometimes. So we'll go to OC2. I used to have this engaged sometimes and not engaged, but I found, especially when adding this in, what I'm really going for. So now I keep this engaged all the time, but I will show you what it sounds like without it. So I will mess with that sometimes, a little bit throughout a sound check or a show, just to like tune it in, but very rarely these days. And I'm so used to it, my muscle memory is so much there that I'm already starting to go towards the flanger. And I know we're not supposed to jump ahead, but that's how natural it is and integrated into my sound. So after the OC2, we have the octabass for songs like FU. So I was turning down my mid, making sure mid switch was gauged to the higher, or actually the higher is here, isn't it? Yeah, once I actually read the manual, how it worked, I learned how to use it better. Learned how it works. Okay, so that's the octabass, octavider. So you can hear it's a clean tone in there. With the 1 octave. So it brings it a little bit. Whereas this one has a little bit of the dry signal, just to give it some attack. That little click in there. But then it's mostly 2nd octave, which is up to, it's a little higher. Okay, EQ. Here's a little flatter and like not as, slap tone can be passive and not EQ'd, but I'm really aware of my slap tone, smaller venues, and when I'm just using mostly through my amp, and it really makes a difference to me to push out and have it be percussive, not just a tone thing. So that sounds good, but so venue to venue, I do change it a little bit based on the room, based on the sound. It'll really get dialed in sound check when we hear it on the video commands. But I shouldn't really do it to my bass amp, I should to my ears, so I'm gonna leave that alone. Not fuddle. Got my MF101 low pass filter. Actually got this from the bassist of Rubble Bucket, the old bassist. He was in New York, first or second time I played the Brooklyn Bowl, found on Craigslist. I've been looking for it. This is a special edition white one. Haven't seen anyone else really with it. I think I rented a bike, did one of those city bikes. Went over to his house, picked up his pedal, brought it back, and had it for that show. And that was my first Moog incorporation. But I just started using it on 4-pole instead of 2 today to see what it sounds like. So got the Miss Frizzle style going on. Get messy, make mistakes. How we learn. But cutoff filter's rolled down right now, all the way up, and then. This one really works well with the OC2. Now I don't like the way it opens up the filter. It's a little too much down in here and not enough up top, so I want to go back to the original expression pedal I got from them, but it broke and I have it at home waiting to fix it, and I probably should just get a new one because I don't know if I'll fix it in time or ever or get around to it, but neither here nor there. I actually just talked to Matt from Talk, who's opening for us this weekend, and he has a really cool, something kind of like this, but it's digital, and you can have it set so the 8 switches could be any combination of pedals. So you can just hit one, that's your scene, and with that you can have one expression pedal for all your pedals. So that would save me issue and make it easier, but I've made do because these are both cheaper and readily available. So the first time I used it was in Colorado. We were doing something for a radio somewhere outside of Denver, I think. and my pedal broke. It wasn't working. Like the peg had come off and wasn't properly working, and they had one sitting around. I tried it and I was like, this technically works, and it's cheaper and more feasible, so it fits better in my pedal board. So sometimes convenience makes sense. Moving on, my envelope filter. Started in a more standard setting. Here's my different slap tones. Clean. It's very subtle, but it does make a difference to me. So Eric does a lot of that stuff too. He'll shape it, but like he actually guided me into, instead of using it as much throughout a song, setting it for the song, and then he can make those minute adjustments. But we have this envelope filter here. That's just another boost, I don't use that much, but these two I use EQ, extra EQ, so I have like 6 EQs going on, 7, a lot of shit. Basically just be a sound guy, I don't need to be a bassist. I can also change this with my toe, as such. This is a different type of boost as well, another EQ. Start getting to the fun. When I talked about hitting the mallet on the metal. I used to have that with an expression pedal as well. I could fool around with it, but it's fine. Not doing that. My Weeping Demon. Now this actually, I have 2 or 3 of these because I've had it for a while, and it broke in a very weird way at the Brooklyn Bowl a few weeks ago. I'd turn it on and then I would go like this, and I guess there was a loose wire in it, and it would just turn off but still be sending signal. So I took it home and opened it up, moved one little piece around, and it's been fine ever since. But gave me a chance to also work on my flight pedal board, my backup board, that I keep back there for another thing I will explain after this. This is also used with the BPM style. Makes this the flanger is always on because so then we have the tuner chain, which when this is engaged, I can tune with, obviously, but I added a loop pedal that we got from MXR, another awesome company, not just because they give us stuff to try out and give them feedback on, but just they make really good stuff, and I'm very happy with this MXR clone looper. When I have this disengaged, I can loop, and I just spent some time in sound check, or before sound check, rehashing my arrangement of changes. Reverse, double speed, single, or half speed. So that's a great fun to have too, and generally I don't use it much at Pigeon shows. I'm going to try to work more on it, and once it's ready I can use it in bass solos. If you know Twiddle and follow Stenik, the legendary Stenik, he is adept at using his looping pedal very well in his bass solos. He's a big inspiration for me as well. But yeah, that is the extent of my rig as it existed up until Thursday of this week, this fine month of February 2022. I got this Moog Siren, which is basically a Moog Minotaur, but instead of going up to 10 kilohertz, it goes up to 20, so it has lead tones as well. I've had this bad boy for a while to keep going 12-step, and I integrated it into my rig recently because it's been not working, and I finally got my shit together and sent it in to get fixed, and they took care of it, fixed it, and now I'm able to use this as a keyboard, depending on what note I want. I have various different settings here. has, I don't use this yet, but it has the ability to do fun stuff like this.
Change everything to your left anyways. Is that gonna do Wait, did you do your ears yet?
So it's pressure sensitive. It's pretty cool.
Hell yeah.
Then I can do things with legato. So it frees up my hands. I can play. And if you'll follow me this way, Pigeons Playing Ping Pong just gained some perspective, as you can too, with our new album entitled Perspective, out April 8th. Everywhere music exists.